Hey, welcome to TruckU. I'm Matt Steele.
Hi, I'm Bruno Mass.
Now today we've got this 2008 Chevy 3500 Duramax. It's our buddy's work truck. He spent a lot of money on this thing and he's really happy with it actually. He does a lot of towing. He said, hey, I like the way it is, but we said, look, let us bring it in and kind of kick it up a little bit. I think he's going to be a lot happier when we're done with it. What we want to do is help him add a little bit more power, but we want to do it safely.
Now, first of all, when you talk about adding power, I'm thinking, hey, Matt, why don't we just throw like a 20-pound nitrous bottle in this thing and burn it down for about 10 seconds? I keep him smiling for a little while.
Right, right.
The whole idea, though, it's safe, reliable power. So we're going to go with an entire Banks power system. We're talking intercooler, air intake, but it all starts with the Banks AutoMine 6 diesel tuner. Now, this is a nice system because it's got a lot of safeguards in effect, so this thing will keep pulling and pulling a heavy load for a long time. The idea here is this guy, if he's not pulling a load, he's not making money, he's not paying the note on this truck. And all what it simply does, it plugs into a piggyback system, plugs into your standard ECU ports.
Now you talked about one of the safety systems. What's great about it is inside that box there's a redundant system. So let's say under a worst case scenario the box fries out. Okay, in a lot of systems you're going to be stranded on the side of the road. Well, with this, what's good about that, with that redundant system on the inside, all it does is it pulls the box out of the equation. That way it returns everything back to stock specs and you're still driving down the road, and that is huge.
Yeah, it kind of redirects them. It'll tell the ECU, okay, this is what you want, this is what we're giving you. Kind of like when your wife's giving you the honey-do list, you wink and nod and you do your own thing. That's what we're doing, our own thing here. It'll tell it what the truck wants to hear, and then we'll give it the power we want it to have pulling up hills. So it's nice, it's got these safety guards in effect where, let's say you're towing up a big hill. Okay, so you've given it 100 more horsepower, but when it comes to shifting, it'll actually pull the power back, make the shift, and give it back in so it doesn't wear out the drivetrain of it, burn up the clutch packs and stuff, which is nice. That's why we're going with a safe system like this. It gives us the power we want and not damage the truck in the process.
Get this inner fender out of the way. All right. Now we've got some room for the Egt probe right here. Now this is our exhaust gas temperature probe, and we're going to mount this on the right-hand side exhaust manifold. So what I need to do is sneak in here real quick and make a mark where we're going to do it. All right, so the mark is made, and you can see that's going to go into the manifold right there because we need to drill and tap that hole and make room. So this will plug into that hole, and what this is going to do is measure the EGTs and send that information to a couple of different places. One, it's going to the gauge pack inside the cab so we can keep an eye on it, and two, it's going to the brain of the system too. It's all part of that internal monitoring system.
Well, Matt was under the fender while putting in that new Egt probe. I've been under the hood making some room. Now the whole idea here is we've got to get everything from here forward off the front of the truck so we have room to put in that new intercooler. So we got this cover out of the way, got a lot of the nuts and bolts out of the way for this front grille. One more to go. Once this is out of the way, then we can start getting some of these light brackets and all this other bracketry out of the way, and then we should have room for that cool intercooler. So here's a first look at the new intercooler that's going inside this truck. Now the whole idea behind this Banks intercooler is you're going to get a denser cooler charge over the stock standard one. The idea not only is to get a denser cooler charge initially, but throughout the entire pull, the entire towing session. It's all about sustainable power, and that's what this intercooler is going to give us over stock.
Exactly. Now you may be saying to yourself, what's the intercooler do? Well, if you don't know, we'll give you a real quick rundown. It's real simple. The exhaust is spooled up, in the turbo right there, and that shoots the air into the intake on the intercooler. So the air comes into this chamber right here, and it travels across over to this side by way of all these little tubes through here. And you see all the fins in between? Well, the air is trucking through there, heading to the other side, and while it's moving, it's dissipating heat and it's being cooled off by the air coming in while you're driving down the road. So then it goes into this chamber down here at the end and out of the bottom, and that's going to your intake into your engine. So cooler, denser air is going into your engine, so you're getting more horsepower, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Now we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to give you an example of what the difference between the standard one is up against this one. It's a huge difference.
Yep. Sure, we're good at that. Welcome back to TruckU. Now, real quick before we put the new intercooler in place, we want to take a look at it versus the one that came stock with the truck. First thing that you notice when you look at these is this new one from Banks is much bigger, 10 millimeters bigger, all the way down. The tanks on the end are bigger as well, which means it's going to hold more air, which means it's going to cool more air, and that's what it's all about today, man.
Yeah, it's all about volume when you talk about this. Bigger is better. But the magic really happens, though, inside the core is what you can't see. Now, the folks at Banks go to great lengths to make sure you've got a dense core, which is going to be in a cooler charge and a sustainable cooler charge. The whole trick, though, is not to make it so dense that air won't pass through and get to the radiator. That's going to cause a problem with their whole cooling system of the truck. With the folks at Banks, you do not have to worry about that.
All right, now comes the fun part. You ready?
Now the whole trick here is getting this into place. Now it's a tight fit because it's obviously a little thicker, but it does fit. The trouble is you've got all these other sensitive materials around you. You got the radiator fins on the radiator, the condenser, you've got the tranny core, all that stuff you do not want to mess up. So take your time here and be careful what you're doing because you can cause a lot of damage real quick.
Now we're ready to mount up the new cold air intake system, and that box is going to sit right up here on this bracket. But before we do that, we need to perform a little cosmetic surgery right here. Now, this bracket will actually mount up. This is the front of the vehicle facing this way. This bracket mounts and the cold air box sits on top of it like this. Now, problem is with our new intercooler right there, you've got the outlet from the intercooler that's going to butt up against this bracket because it sticks out a little bit more. So that's where we're going to have to make a little cut. No big deal. This isn't a big element of surprise or anything. The manufacturers knew all about it, and they sent these handy little templates as well. Those came in the kit. So basically, we lined up our template right like that, and I've already traced that cut out because we're going to make a cut right along here and around this little curve. That's template A. Then we can sit template B down here, and we line that up with the corners. That will meet up, and then we're going to make this cut, and we're going to take that all the way down to the bracket. Right like that. So essentially it's just as easy as drawing a straight line all the way down, and we'll take it right to the bracket. And we should be good to go now. We're ready to cut. B-Man, want to check out my handiwork?
Looks nice,
there
man. But hey, I do the painting around here normally.
I know. But we did that. We got a nice cut there. It should fit around nicely. Put a little paint on it. Looks brand new, man.
Looks good. Well, Matt's putting that in place. I want to show you guys the next step to our towing power package upgrade. It's all about the Ram air intake system from Banks. Now, one of the key elements is this box right here. Now, this is where the filter sits. The whole idea is to create a cool environment for the air going into the engine. With this box, you're keeping the heat away from the air intake, keeping the heat from the engine away from it. So that's a key element. A lot of these companies who do some of these stuff don't have this element to it, and what you can actually do is decrease your power by sucking in warm air. What's nice about this is we're going to take it to a whole new level thanks to this Ram Air Scoop. They call it the Super Scoop, and what it does is it mounts on the bottom of that box, and it'll stick out underneath the bumper. What we're doing here is forcing air as you're driving cool air up into the engine, so you're getting like a supercharger effect, so you're going to get a lot of volume of cool air pushing up into the engine, which is going to create more horsepower. You've got this little slot along the back here, and what it does is it keeps stones and debris from getting into the engine. It'll just get kicked out the back, while the cool air will still maintain its flow, get into the engine.
All right, well, let's get this hooked up, and then when we come back from break, we can start working on that exhaust.
Man, I picked Fuller on my flag football team. You cannot throw. It's like a woman, man. What a waste.
I'll have to come check that out next time. Here, let's get this out of the way. All right. Hey, welcome back to TruckU. What we're doing underneath the truck right now is going from a single to a dual exhaust. Now we're putting this whole Banks kit in here, making the truck breathe real good. We've got the cold air intake on there. We've got the new intercooler. Everything is going well. Now it's time to come back here. Now something else we want to take a look at now that we're underneath the truck is the particulate filter. Now that's not part of the exhaust that we're putting in, but this is a new product that's on all the full-size diesel trucks from 07 and newer that you need to know a little bit about.
Now the whole idea is about emissions, trying to keep a clean burn throughout the system and keep that black soot you see coming out of diesels years ago, keep it out of the environment, which is a good idea. It's a federally mandated thing, so you don't want to mess with this particulate filter, and they have ways of checking on you. There's a pressure sensors going to it and out the back of it, and the whole idea is it's like a soot trap, really.
Right.
Catches a federally mandated soot trap that catches that black smoke. It'll catch it, and sensors will tell it when it's got to regenerate itself. So what'll happen if it gets too dirty, it'll actually turn on like a torch afterburner effect
right.
to clean the inside of it out. Now, if you go into your dealership for an emissions check or your dealership for any kind of warranty work, they'll see if you didn't cycle enough or cycle too much, meaning you're playing with, and that'll void all your warranties, and that'll cost you a lot of money.
Now here's how it works, and you can sneak in here and kind of take a look. The flow goes from this way back, okay? So you see that little honeycomb looking deal right there, and the soot goes in there and it gets trapped and it swirls around and the air comes out through the back. Now, it catches all the soot in here, and like Bruno said, it'll regenerate when it gets to a certain point. It'll kick in that afterburner and burn it off. That way, it gets shot out the back in the form of ash, which is much better for the environment. But take a look at this. This is when things go horribly wrong right here. It should not look like that.
And what happens, you'll get a dirty tune, and what it does is it wants to melt the whole inside of it. So not only do you have a restriction on the back end because it's not letting the exhaust gases out of the exhaust out, it'll actually could hurt to your engine, cause serious damage yet, let alone the particulate filter itself, which can run you thousands of dollars alone. So do yourself a favor, don't mess with the particulate filter.
Yeah, run a good clean tune and don't mess with it. Again, it's not part of the exhaust system that we're putting in today because that's a brand new one right there. That thing's fine, so we're gonna run a good clean tune and leave it alone and just put our exhaust in as planned.
Yes.
Now we can start putting these pipes together up here. And if you look on the back of this pipe, you got that?
Yeah, I got it.
Right here is what they call the cool cuff, and that's really what it's all about on this system, man.
Here's a close-up look at it, and this is model is designed through CFD analysis, and the whole idea behind it is to try and cool the exhaust gas temperatures coming out the exhaust. And by doing so, you've got these little slots here, and what it does, it draws in outside cool air. It'll kind of like a vacuum to cool the temperature down. Now think about it, when this thing is regenerating itself, the particulate filter, we've got exit temperatures as high as 1140 degrees, which is not good.
No, that could do some serious damage, no doubt about that. Now it comes back here, the cool cuff is here before the big Y split, so it's got to go back around the pipes, and when the exhaust comes out the tips, it's up in the high 400s, and that's where you want it.
Absolutely.
Hey, welcome back to TruckU. Now that our bank system is pretty much completely installed, we can get up here with the PDA and start playing with some of the buttons and having a little bit of fun as well. Now this is really cool, man. This is where everything happens, Bruno.
Yeah, it's like a window to our tuning world here, and it's nice because you can not only adjust things on the fly, you can adjust power levels on the fly, but it can monitor things in real time. Now, stuff like EGT and boost, it'll always monitor because those are pretty much your two critical things when you're talking about a performance tuner, but you can go in and set up other parameters as well, such as monitor engine RPM or whatever else you want to do. You've got the options to do so, which is really nice features.
Absolutely, and this guy's going to be pulling a lot of trailers, right? That's what he does for a living, and that's why he's got this whole tuner system in here. So we go right up here to gauge setup, and it's really easy. So if he's pulling a heavy load, he's probably going to want to watch the transmission temperature. So boom, we'll put that in 4, and maybe the tranny slip right there. So then you go back, and they're in place right there, and he can keep an eye on that. Now, maybe you're a regular guy, though, and you don't make a living towing trailers, and you just want to have some fun with your truck. You don't need a tuner that's got 6 adjustable levels that are specifically made for towing. That is where the Bank 6-gun tuner comes in, and I'll tell you what, you've got settings in there for towing, fuel economy, and just plain fun as well, man. So they really have you covered with that, too.
What's nice about both is they utilize that clean tune technology, so you know that you're going to get a clean tune-up, meaning that you're going to use all that fuel system. There won't be any wasted fuel, which means it's going to be better for fuel economy.
I'm going to tell you what, I know this guy was happy with this truck the way it was before, but I do believe that he is going to love this truck even more now. I can't wait to see his reaction after this thing. So you know what? That's going to wrap it up for us today, though. So we'll catch you more next time right here on TruckU. We might need